But I tell you that if some boy is getting married, who's 50 years old man is getting married to 8-year-old girl, should that family or that person not be punished? In Hindus it is there, the punishment is there. If a Hindu does it, he gets punished. But if somebody else does it, they get protection, and the 8-year-old girl can be brutalized by that 50-year-old man and there is no punishment because it is protected. Should that be allowed? Should we allow men and women to not have equal rights? Let me give you another example. You have son and daughter both. In your property, will they have 50% share?
Yeah.
They should have. In my property, my son and daughter should have. Anand's son and daughter should have. But as per some religion, some families, only son should have the double share and daughter should have half share. Is that equality before the law? So that will go. These kinds of kuritis will go. Kupratha will go. Why are you with kupratha? And forget Modi ji, forget UCC. 3 तलाक का कानून, जो 3 तलाक 50 मुस्लिम देश में प्रतिबंधित है, उसका कानून सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोला लाने के लिए, आपने उसका विरोध कर दिया. तो which संविधान, which Supreme Court and which law commission are you with?
Okay, let Waris Pathan respond. And then I'll bring in Ramnik Khan. Yeah.
Well, my good friend Shehzad Poonawalla, since last so many days, he have been giving an argument on the UCC that why it should not come. You cannot. In India, there are several states which have got different languages. What will you do with that? Equal for all. Everybody will speak Hindi. What happens to Gujarat? What happens to Maharashtra? That is why without having a draft, you don't know the intentions of Modi. Why are you implementing? Why are you trying to implement that?
Language doesn't even come under the ambit of this.
And again, they are on the Muslims' wedding 4 times. Their question is on the polygamy. May I ask my friend Shehzad Poonawalla, give me names of 10 Muslims who have married 4 times. Who have married 4 times.
So if they are not doing it, then why have the law allowing it?
And one thing which I heard about Mr. Shehzad Poonawalla is also Muslim. Are Anand, till now what I feel that Shehzad Poonawalla is also Muslim. He is my friend. He is not married even single time.
Yes.
Don't forget about 4 times.
He's one of the most eligible bachelors around. So that we all know. But I'm asking you, if people are not marrying 4 times, if people are not why should there be a personal law which allows anybody to do that? That's exactly the point, ना. जो अब कुछ कर ही नहीं रहा है तो फिर उसके खिलाफ अगर आप सिग्नल नहीं तोड़ रहे तो और अगर सिग्नल तोड़ने पे चालान बन रहा है तो आपको तकलीफ नहीं होनी चाहिए. सेम पॉइंट, अगर आप 4 बार शादी नहीं कर रहे तो 4 बार शादी के खिलाफ कानून बन रहा है तो आपको तकलीफ नहीं होनी चाहिए.
Just give me one line for Ramnik Khan. First of all, Waris, you are a very accomplished. Waris bhai, I heard you out. Waris bhai, Ramnik को भी बोलना, I heard you out. You are a very accomplished lawyer. You have won many cases in Supreme Court. You are saying language has something to do with UCC. Linguistic, nothing is concerned with that at UCC. Secondly, please tell me one thing, that you have said polygamy. I never mentioned polygamy even once. But मन में जो डर बैठा है वो आ जाता है. But सती भी आजकल नहीं होता. So should we withdraw the कानून against sati? Because there is not a single case of sati. अरे if there is not a single case of bigamy or polygamy, then you should be the first one to say अरे हटाइए कानून लाइए, no problem. But tell me today, if under section 494 of IPC, a Hindu man gets married more than once when he has a wife, then will he face punishment? Yes. And if supposing some other person, say Abdullah marries, will he face punishment? No. So therefore, let there be standardization.
How many
let there be standardization of the rights of women. But that's the problem. You don't want rights of women.
You want to create an atmosphere of hate, showing that Muslim men are marrying 4 times.
If they are not, there is no
0 times. I'm a Muslim man. 0 times.
हम लोग शादीशुदा लोग हैं, हमारी क्या हालत है हमको पूछो. एक बीवी बच्चों को संभालना है.
आप ये जो 2 शादियों के अधिकार के लिए जो कर रहे हैं ना, आपकी बीवी आपका शो देख रही हैं.
आप तो बिंदास.
आप 2 शादियों की वकालत कर रहे हैं, बीवी शो देख रही है.
मेरा ना कोई.
आपकी बीवी शो देख रही है, आप मत कीजिए इसकी वकालत.
बारिश भाई रात के खाने में नमक मिर्ची बहुत ज्यादा होगा, पानी भी नहीं मिलेगा पीने के लिए, मत करिए वकालत. अच्छा एक मिनट, लेट मी गेट रमनीक मान.
शहजाद को एक पर्सनल सवाल करूंगा.
let me get Ramnik Khan also. There is a reluctance, or perhaps there is ground swell or somewhere where the Akalis have opposed it. They said this is against Sikhs, it's going to intervene. Ramnik Khan, where do you stand on the UCC? Thank you for your patience, sir.
Anand, thank you, Anand. I've heard a lot about, the troubles that Waris Bhai is having. Trying to prove his point. He's beating around the bush, including bringing our own, ਭਾਬੀ ਜੀ involved in this कि जी मैं शादीशुदा हूं, हमारी हालत पूछो. ਭਾਬੀ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਲਾਂਗੇ ਜੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੇਲੇ. Well, anyways, you are not going there. There is no problem. There is no problem. Uniform civil code is not a problem. You see, it is not just about marriage. It is about inheritance. It is about the procedure of talaq, as in divorce. It's not about language, sir. It is not about NRC. It is not about how many times you get married. You get divorced and legally you can get divorced and you can remarry then again. The problem here is there is a section of people who have, let's say, they have a cover. They have a religious cover probably. जहाँ पे they can marry, remarry and remarry. It's not that how many people have got married 4 times. It is that they have a legal protection even if they go ahead and marry 4 times. That's the problem. Which is, you look at the Constitution of India. उसके शुरू में आता है कि we adopt India as a secular country. So secular का आधार क्या है? It has to be same. The parameters of law should be applicable on every citizen in a similar fashion. There cannot be, जैसे इस देश में there cannot be 2 flags, there cannot be 2 constitutions, there cannot be 2 civil codes also. So this has actually taken far too long, and the demand for UCC precedes or predates the existence of BJP. Much earlier in time, even Jawaharlal Nehru Sahab had to face the parliamentarians of that time. That UCC should be in force. So as far as Akali Dal is concerned, they are plainly doing politics over it, and I can assure you, Anand, if Akali Dal was in a political understanding with the BJP, they would have supported this, because there is a provision for Anand Marriage Act. Anand Marriage Act has been implemented in Chandigarh UT.
Yeah.
Other states are discussing Anand Marriage Act. So my point is, if at all Akali Dal has to talk about something, they should say कि जी Anand Marriage Act should be included in the UCC. वो provisions होने चाहिए उसके अंदर. So this is the point of discussion. Their opposition is purely political. It's got nothing to do with religion. Similar to Varis Bhai का भी जितना देखो, he's a good lawyer. He presents himself before the Supreme Court. But today, I'm sorry, sir, your arguments fail to impress me. कोई बात ही नहीं है. आप जो the kind of objections you have. Your puberty is a age where, Islam justifies girls getting married. Girls get puberty at an early age. नहीं, sir, वारिस भाई मेरे को सुन लीजिए please आप. मेरा निवेदन है आपसे. I am requesting you, please hear me out. The age by the Constitution is fixed at 18. I wouldn't allow a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old, 13-year-old girl to get married to anybody. Even 18 years or 17 years of age of boy, just because she's attained puberty. That makes no sense. Inheritance में आ जाइए, the girls have equal right over their father's property, and that's the case which should be implemented by law, not by choice. कि पापा का दिल किया, भाई का दिल किया तो दे दिया, नहीं तो नहीं दिया. That should be by law. That should not be by choice. Third, even after triple talaq being discontinued in the country, there is still a different way of getting talaq from your wife in a certain manner. और उसके बाद मेंटेनेंस का जो तरीका है, जो बीवी को आप छोड़ देते हैं या कोई भी शोहर छोड़ देता है, उनकी जो मेंटेनेंस है, वो आपने जो निकाह के समय रकम तय होती है वो दे के उसके बाद आप छुट्टी या फारिग हो गए. That should not be the case. How will she support the children? And I am talking about all these women who have suffered in marriages and their trauma they face post-marriage, the financial problems they face, and what they have been compelled into a different world altogether. I don't want to mention things. वो सब नहीं होना चाहिए भाई. It should be by law.
Correct. And it should apply. It should.
और अगर भारत के हर एक नागरिक पे, आनंद 10 more seconds, आनंद 10 more seconds. और अगर भारत के हर एक नागरिक के ऊपर, if every citizen of India is being viewed by law with the same sight, where is the problem? अगर एक नजर से हर एक भारतीय को देखा जाए कानून में, तो फर्क क्या, अर्ज क्या है?
Can I just have 10 seconds and then Varis can answer?
I have 2 minutes on the debate. I don't want a special
Varis can
status.
answer.
Why do you want a special status?
Ramnik ji, if you may just indulge me. Varis bhai, क्रिमिनल कोड तो कॉमन है हमारे देश में. शरिया के हिसाब से वारिस का हाथ काटना चोरी पर और आनंद को जेल में भेजना तो नहीं है. अच्छा वारिस भाई, एक सवाल का जवाब दीजिए. आपका बैंक अकाउंट है? वारिस भाई, बैंक अकाउंट है आपका?
सबका होता है, मेरा भी है. छोटा
इंटरेस्ट लेना शरिया से प्रोहिबिटेड है. इंटरेस्ट लेना शरिया में प्रोहिबिटेड है,
नहीं लेता
तो
हूं मैं
आधा शरिया मानना है
मैं नहीं
और
लेता
बाकी
हूं,
शरिया
interest
नहीं
नहीं लेता
मानना
हूं,
है।
छोड़ देता
इंटरेस्ट लेना इस्लाम में हराम है, ये
नहीं
बात
लेता
आप
हूं
भी
interest।
मानते हो? कम से कम मुफ्त घर लेना मना
बिल्कुल
है,
हराम है।
मुफ्त
Interest,
सिलेंडर लेना
रिबा,
मना है,
इस्लाम
मुफ्त
में
बिजली
हराम है,
लेना
मैं नहीं
मना
लेता
है।
interest।
आधा शरिया जो मेरे काम का, जहां महिलाओं
नहीं,
का
नहीं, नहीं।
अधिकार हनन होगा, वो तो काम का, हाथ काटना
नहीं,
ना बाबा
गलत,
ना।
गलत, गलत
इंटरेस्ट
बात,
लेना हाँ
गलत
बाबा,
बात, गलत
ये नहीं चलता।
ओके, वारिस पठान।
गलत कौन ले रहा है इंटरेस्ट? कौन लेता है
नहीं, वो
इंटरेस्ट?
कह रहे हैं कि नहीं, the point is
कम्युनिटी के सब इंटरेस्ट दे लेते हैं।
no, the point is
सब लेते मेरे को बताओ 18 साल के नीचे किसने शादी किया? हाउ मेनी गर्ल्स हैव मैरिड बिलो द एज ऑफ 18?
हजारों केस बता दो।
Okay, let him say, let him speak.
अभी 30
following the law.
Ramnik ji, let Varis Pathan complete and then counter piece. Yeah.
Ramnik, see, agar it was so important, the UCC, the BJP government was into power since the 9 years. What prevented Modi to get the UCC in the 9 years? He has got the majority of the MPs with him. He could have easily brought, he could have passed the bill.
Do you welcome it today?
But no.
देर आए दुरुस्त आए बोलिए। नहीं, आप बोलिए देर आए दुरुस्त आए।
At least give them.
आप बोलिए देर आए दुरुस्त आए।
Intentions are mala
Do you support it today?
अरे मान साहब,
Do you support it today? नहीं सर नहीं। आप आज support करते हैं।
What are their intentions?
कैसे?
Their intentions are to harass the Muslims. No, they want to bring the Hindu
कैसे?
civil
How do you know
code.
the intentions?
They want to get the Hindu
कैसे?
civil code.
यार आप
They only want
नजूमी
to
हैं।
target the Muslims
नहीं, आप
by
नजूमी हैं।
getting into their personal
भाई
laws.
आप नजूमी है क्या?
नजूमी नहीं,
अरे,
हमको पता है
एक मिनट।
मोदी की बात।
भाई आप वकील हैं, आप नजूमी भी हैं क्या? आप नजूमी भी हैं? आपको एनआरसी का आपने अपोज किया?
Okay, let's just come away. Last 30 seconds, and I'm going to ask Shehzad Poonawala this question that Varis Pathan asked: कि 9 साल बाद अब जागे क्यों? Because of 2024 elections.
You can't say both things. Either you are saying 9 साल मतलब बहुत देर हो गई, 65 साल प्लस 9 साल बहुत देर हो गई, और you say कि चुनाव आ रहा है इसलिए कर रहे हो। If you are saying 9 साल में बहुत देर हो गई, तो then चुनाव आए ना, उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? This is about राष्ट्रनीति, not about राजनीति.
So if it was Rashtrनीति, then it should have come in 2014. Why is it coming in 2023?
Then Varis was 2004 to 14. He was ally of Congress. He should ask Congress also why they never brought it. But now जो हो रहा है उसको होने दीजिए, संवैधानिक प्रिंसिपल को सपोर्ट कीजिए।
Right, gentlemen, great.
Shehzad joined already under DMK or what?
No,
I tell you, no, I tell
Shehzad
you.
is just celebrating the culture of Bharat. Can we go full frame on this? I really love this outfit.
There is a reason. If your audience
Joined
gives me
under
10 seconds.
DMK.
The reason I worn this outfit is to tell people, all my friends from South, from all parts of the country, that UCC आने से there's not going to be common dress code, or common greeting code, or common religious code, or common Riti Rivaj code. Nothing is going to happen to that. That you can continue. Shehzad Poonawala from Maharashtra votes in UP, wears South Indian clothes, wears a gamcha from Assam. I can do that.
But you must have the code. If you're not a regular veshti or a mundu wearer, you must have the Velcro code. On that note, thank you very much.
Always have
lovely,
a firm grip on
pleasure.
things.
Thank you, Ramnik Maan, and thank you, Varis Pathan. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, ladies, we're going to take a very, very short break. It's a fireside chat with Piyush Goyal. I caught up with him in Bharatpur, where he's already hot on the campaign trail. Plenty of issues. Perhaps the most politically charged fireside chat that we've had with Piyush ji in a while. Stay with us.
Wrote letter to Election Commission reinstating that it is with Sharad Pawar that the party lays a whip, lays with them, and the leader of opposition. Though right now, as per the number games, as is being claimed by Ajit Pawar, the largest party, largest single party in opposition right now is Congress. But we've seen that NCP has clearly laid out that the leader of opposition right now is from NCP, which is Jitendra Awad. So here there are grounds being laid. There's groundwork which is being done, a solid groundwork, so that if any kind of a legal action that takes place after this, it goes in their favor, because while these MLAs have moved out of NCP, while they're sitting MLAs, it goes as a defection from the existing party. But the previous Shiv Sena order of Supreme Court, in fact, threw light as to how, while there being a whip, while there was already there was a leader from the party with the number game going in the favor of Eknath Shinde, the court case went in his favor, which is why to avoid any kind of such repercussion later on, we're seeing that NCP is laying out solid groundwork. NCP with Sharad Pawar is laying out a very solid groundwork, and going further, that's why they've approached the Election Commission and also the Speaker of the Assembly.
How have the other Ghadi leaders reacted to this? Also, beyond this, considering the fact that posters have been raised about Uddhav Thackeray and Raj Thackeray coming together, what have the other Ghadi leaders really said about these developments?
So other Ghadi leaders, when like we speak of, for that matter, for Shiv Sena or in fact for that matter of Congress, we've seen a lot of them raising questions on the stance taken by Ajit Pawar. We're also seeing that some of these leaders who are a part of the coalition have already spoken to Sharad Pawar, extending support to them. So here the stance of Mahavikas Aghadi leaders is quite clear that they are supporting Sharad Pawar. On the other hand, when we've spoken to various of our sources in BJP, they've said that as of now the stance for BJP is quite clear that they would want to go ahead for an election under Eknath Shinde as the chief minister. So here there's a clear-cut divide. We've seen that be it Congress or be it for that matter the Shiv Sena with Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray, they have clearly extended support to Sharad Pawar. Some of them also stating that it is the future of Eknath Shinde which looks bleak with NCP coming forth. And this is something that we've also seen is a stance that has been taken by leaders who are a part of Sharad Pawar camp. They've also stated that the future of Eknath Shinde looks bleak because clearly there were people with Eknath Shinde. There were party leaders with Eknath Shinde. There were several ministers who were expecting that with the expansion of cabinet taking place, they will get some more key portfolios. However, now with NCP coming in, their chances look bleak because the expansion would now have to accommodate NCP leaders. Which is where while there is a strong MVA that we see, though the number game with the MVA is not very clear. Let us understand that the number game right now seems dicey about how many leaders, how many key positions or how many MLAs that the MVA still has, considering that it has been Ajit Pawar's faction which has clearly been stating that they have support of more than 40 people. As of now, there is nothing on ground to claim that these 40 people are with Ajit Pawar. On the other hand, when you speak of Sharad Pawar's faction, they seem quite confident, and according to them, there is the entire game, the entire strategy of what really took place yesterday would be revealed only in the next 2 days. So here, the question, of course, also raises about something that we've already discussed about whether Sharad Pawar was in the know-how of what was really taking place. Because let us understand that while Ajit Pawar had clearly stated a few weeks back that he does not want to be the leader of opposition, he wants a key position in NCP. Apart from that, Praful Patel, who was appointed as a working president by Sharad Pawar, has also gone in with Ajit Pawar. This in fact raises quite a lot of questions about whether all this that took place was under the blessings of Sharad Pawar. This is something that we've seen has been reiterated by various people saying who are with Ajit Pawar, saying that everything that's taking place is with the blessings of everyone in NCP involved. So here there are various speculations that are being made right now, but we're too premature to in fact conclude as to what really is taking place in the NCP and Maharashtra politics on the large as a whole. Yeah.
Now, after the coup by Ajit Pawar, one of the MNS leaders, Lakshman Patel, has put up banners near the Shiv Sena Bhavan. The banner asks Uddhav Thackeray and Raj Thackeray to come together. And beyond this, there's more breaking news coming in. There are also posters which are being raised in Nagpur calling Devendra Fadnavis Maharashtra's Chanakya. We're crossing over to CNN News 18's Yasha Kotak to get us more on these two breaking developments. Yasha, let's just talk about the first one, about the banners put up by MNS leader Lakshman Patel. Essentially, it asks Uddhav and Raj Thackeray to come together.
Yes, the banners that have been put out have actually come out very close to the Shiv Sena Bhavan. Now here, he's requesting both Uddhav and Raj Thackeray to come together. In fact, he also mentioned that amidst the political turmoil in Maharashtra, the only option that they have is if Uddhav and Raj Thackeray come together. Now, this is something that's come out in near Shiv Sena Bhavan, and this is amidst the fact that Uddhav Thackeray has, as of now, not really spoken about the coup in NCP. But yesterday, when Sharad Pawar was addressing the media, he said that he had a word with Uddhav Thackeray. In fact, even Sanjay Raut ended up saying that he has spoken to Sharad.
We've caught him on the sidelines of a prachar cum campaign trail. You should say both, because 9 years of the Modi Sarkar, so he's talking about it and also building up to the Rajasthan elections and Lok Sabha 2024. But it's also Chartered Accountants Day. So to the Chartered Accountant in him, wish you greetings on Chartered Accountants Day, Piyush Goyal ji. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Now let me ask you, this prachar, this prasar or the campaign is happening for Rajasthan or for Lok Sabha 2024?
No, this is a part of our national campaign to thank the voters of India, to thank the people of India for reposing trust in the Bharatiya Janata Party, in the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, by giving him an absolute majority twice, both in 14 and 19, so that he could serve the people with a decisive government, so that he could bring a new paradigm of growth, progress and prosperity for the people, so that he could empower 1.4 billion Indians, 140 crore Indians, to dream big, to aim high and work with a sense of duty to make India a developed nation.
We are having this conversation late in the evening in Bharatpur. You have been to Alwar, you've been to Rajasthan, Jaipur, so a lot of places in Rajasthan. So what's the feeling?
I think the people are fed up of this corrupt Ashok Gehlot government. Many people call it a Gehlot government. Every minister, every MLA, I think has realized that they're going to lose the next election, so they are on a rampage of corruption. The law and order is deteriorated. The kind of heinous crimes that we hear of in Rajasthan, the fact that this has become a safe harbor for criminals running away from other states, the fact that every transfer posting looks suspect, papers are getting leaked almost by the dozens. All of this leads to a very, very dissatisfied people, completely disenchanted by the hollow promises that Mr. Gehlot keeps making, to the extent that in Jaipur a lot of people told me this is a Panjikaran government, that means a registration government. They keep making all sorts of announcements right from 2018, when in their manifesto they made lots of promises but broke every one of them. Just keep registering potential beneficiaries but never deliver.
But what's the option for the people of Rajasthan?
A strong, resurgent Bharatiya Janata Party, once again providing a good double-engine government with Prime Minister Narendra Modi overseeing the development activities of the state, a government in the state which will implement the several initiatives that Prime Minister Modi has introduced in the country, rather than creating roadblocks.
Karnataka didn't have a problem with PM Modi, but they had a problem with the local leadership. Somewhere the voter is now becoming discerning between what works at the center and what they want in the state. Do you have a problem of a diffused leadership, no clear leader in Rajasthan?
Today the people of Karnataka of Rajasthan are so fed up with this Gehlot government that they are looking for a change. The Bharatiya Janata Party has always had a galaxy of leaders in Rajasthan. And in the BJP, the good part is it's always the nation first, party next, and self last. So all our leaders are working together as a team, very committed to the people of Rajasthan. And I can assure you that the BJP will provide a stable, strong, and honest government to Rajasthan, which will change the future and the fortunes of Rajasthan.
UCC, are you for it, against it, and do you believe India is ready for it?
Absolutely for the Uniform Civil Code. We are waiting to see what shape it takes, how it comes up. Uttarakhand had set up a very high-level committee headed by Justice retired Srimati Ranjana Desai. They've come out with a report. Let us see how that works. Let us see how the public reacts to that report. and let the situation evolve. I think people are jumping the gun too much. Ultimately, it's a directive principle of the Constitution. 5 times the Supreme Court has suggested to the governments of the day that this is something which will be good for India, which is the need of the hour, and which will bring more cohesion to the nation's polity.
Harish Rawatji says it's an exercise in futility because if you're looking at something at the center, why bring it in the state? And if you have decided to go the state route, why talk about it at the center? So this is nothing but yet another poll gimmick.
Well, for Harish Rawatji, these may be poll games, but for the Bharatiya Janata Party and its leadership, these are issues of national importance. These are issues that concern very often our sisters and daughters. After all, when we remove triple talaq from India, imagine the sigh of relief that crores of our Muslim sisters and daughters had, who were being persecuted, who were being wronged upon indiscriminately for decades. And when on the other hand, so many other governments with Islamic states have already made triple talaq illegal, including our neighbors like Pakistan and Bangladesh, or Egypt, where the Honorable Prime Minister went recently, did it some 70, 80 years ago. I think it's only the appeasement politics of the Congress and their friendly parties which opposes progressive laws.
So you agree with him on the Pasmanda issue, 11.4% of the Muslim population treated as vote banks. That's what the PM said.
I think Prime Minister Modi has made a very, very important and significant observation. I do hope the leaders of the Muslim community will reflect deeply on what he said and will work towards a better future for every single Indian.
So as leader of House in the Rajya Sabha, are you looking at it coming in the monsoon session or in the winter session?
We'll wait to see what the concerned ministry decides.
Now let's reflect on the US state visit and why is it so historic? Because the last 4-5 years, there have been efforts that have been made, but there have been roadblocks. One of the biggest, I'll come to the roadblocks, but let me ask you, why is it so historic? From your perspective, because you saddle multiple ministries and a lot of them come into the domain of the MOU side.
We have watched international visits, certainly of leaders from India to other parts of the world, of leaders from other countries coming to India, and I would go to the extent of saying international visits of leaders from many countries to other countries. To my mind, this visit of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to America was historic in several counts. For example, at the UN, he broke all records with people from 180 countries participating at the UN headquarters. Look at the message of solidarity and oneness to the world population that went out that day on 21st June from New York. The fact that President Biden spent nearly 3 days with Prime Minister Modi is an unparalleled situation. This was possibly only the second state visit that an Indian Prime Minister has had. After Mr. Manmohan Singh's visit after the nuclear deal, this is the only
in about 15 years.
Second visit. More importantly, this is the first time an Indian leader has addressed US Congress twice, joining the ranks of illustrious leaders like Nelson Mandela or Winston Churchill or Netanyahu. The kind of response that was given by the business community of the US was unparalleled. We had every top company CEO either bilaterally meeting the Prime Minister and making huge commitments of investment and jobs in India, or participating in the state dinner or the several lunches that were held in his honor. So in a way, the US government, that is the political leadership, the US administration, the bureaucracy, the businesses in the United States of America and the people of America, particularly the Indian diaspora. They were all in it to make this a historic visit. And the outcomes that were there, the kind of agreements that have come up. For example, GE giving us an aircraft jet engine with technology is a first for them. In world history, never before have two large, let's say, sparring nations on trade front, who have had several court cases in the WTO, the World Trade Organization, and some of them for decades. It is unparalleled that bilaterally 6 WTO disputes get resolved. It was impossible but for the huge trust that President Biden and Prime Minister Modi have been able to build between themselves and between the governments.
No, but here's what the Congress is saying, or the opposition is saying: the jet engine technology is old tech. It's not. It's redundant tech, and that the WTO or perhaps some of the engagements have happened, like Washington Apple's import duty reduced by 20%. It's going to directly impact growers closer home. So there has been a huge compromise that's been made.
Well, I think Angur Khatte, the Congress only continues to display its lack of understanding and a complete inability to understand even basic commerce and economics. Surprisingly, some of those comments came from erstwhile commerce ministers, which shocks me even more. The rate of duty on apples continues to remain the same, what it always was. In fact, we have recently introduced a minimum import price to ensure that the apples that come into the country, along with the rate of duty, import duty that's charged on it, will always ensure that our farmers get a very fair price and a good deal. The United States of America had put in certain additional duties on steel and aluminium, which India exported to the US. We had retaliated with certain additional duties on our end, on products which are coming in from the US. So that was an additional duty which did not impact our imports. It only substituted imports from the US with imports from some other country. So our aggregate imports didn't change. The US lost market share, some other country gained it. But the protection to our farmers remained the same. When the US agreed to ensure that our steel and aluminium imports into the US, so exports from India will be allowed without that additional duty which they had imposed on steel and aluminium, logically we have to reduce the retaliatory duty to a corresponding extent. So this was an additional duty, didn't impact our imports at all, just substituted from one country to the other. They removed the additional duties, which means our steel and aluminium will get greater market access in the US. We removed the additional duties, which will give them a chance to get back their market share, possibly substituting what started coming from Turkey. Now, I'm sure I'd rather have an apple from America than I'd have an apple from Turkey. And so would 140 crore Indians, sans the few ignorant Congress leaders.
But WTO, Prime Minister mentioned that a lot of issues, thorny issues at the WTO have also been ironed out. Tell us about that, because that was one breaking point. It proved to be a lot of agreements that could have been signed. They just insertions in the clauses. I can talk about it because I was there in Geneva when you were hammering that out. So now where do things stand?
Well, I think India has shown to the world that we can be a trusted partner, that rather than fight on legal matters, dialogue and diplomacy can help resolve issues much better. This has been Prime Minister Modi's consistent stand, be it trade issues or even geopolitical issues like the Russia-Ukraine conflict. He has once again proved his ability to negotiate a good deal for the country, to be able to navigate very, very difficult areas of trade and commerce so that there can be a win-win solution for both countries. There were certain thorny issues which were pending for decades, For example, there are cases against Indian steel exports to the US, which have now been done away with. Similarly, there were fights between both countries on renewable energy programs. We had cases against their programs, they had cases against our programs. We've been able to bilaterally close all of them in the interest of sustainability and promotion of clean energy, renewable energy, which I think is the collective effort across the world, something that everybody should be happy and proud about. They had filed cases and won. We had lost in the WTO on the several export incentives and export promotion measures that India had adopted over the years. The United States has agreed to drop that case also. So there are wins on both sides. The US gains some, India gains some. They had won 3 cases, we had won 3 cases. By bilaterally settling them, we have written a new chapter in world history, particularly world economics and world commerce, which will be quoted and will resonate for, I think, several decades in the future.
So does India get a seat at the high table at the UN Security Council? Permanent place are those 180 countries which came to support us for yoga, are they going to back UN reforms?
By and large, most countries are in
Two-thirds
support.
is what we need.
No, most countries are in support of India getting a permanent seat at the Security Council. It's the veto power of our neighboring country which has held back this. All the other countries in the Security Council, permanent members, are in favor of India having a seat at the permanent body. And I do hope good sense will prevail in the future and we will get our rightful place.
How much of this America-India AI is a byproduct of the animosity with China or geopolitics? Let's say geopolitics, or how much of it?
Absolutely no connection with that. Very often I'm asked this question about the China +1 or French shoring or people looking at moving out of China and coming to India. I always believe that India stands on its own merits. India is a very, very high potential country in terms of our demographic dividend, in terms of the democracy that we are very proud of, in terms of the huge demand that a 140 crore population generates, particularly when the basic needs, which used to be a struggle for many Indians for decades or for generations, have now been taken care of by Prime Minister Modi.
So America-India is happening. Will Canada-India happen anytime soon, given the nature of the geopolitics?
Huge progress, Anand, in our negotiations with Canada. My last visit to Canada was very outcome-oriented, very fruitful. We came up with a broad framework on which we can have an early progress trade agreement. My colleague minister there, Mary Ng, and I have a weekly video conference in which we take stock of the progress of negotiations. I'm very confident, or if I may borrow a phrase from the Mumbai Stock Exchange or the National Stock Exchange, I'm very bullish
about
that
it.
we're going to see a lot of progress in the several free trade agreements that are under negotiation.
I specifically asked Canada because with Pakistan we follow a policy of talks and terror can't go hand in hand, trade and terror can't go hand in hand beyond a certain absolute important ones. So with Canada also, does geopolitics, will that weigh in on the trade aspect? I know there is an effort to try and keep them separate.
Well, I think Canada is not about, in any way, can be bracketed with a country like Pakistan. There are a few misguided elements who may off and on create problems there, but that's not big enough for us to stop our trade and business relations and stop creating jobs in India for millions of people who otherwise would lose that potential to expand economic activity in India. We are friendly nations, we are both democracies, and I'm sure we can sort out such issues which are extraneous to trade and commerce bilaterally.
Final 2 questions, Piyush. One of the issues is about where do you have a position on this demand for freeing Hindu temples? We saw what is happening with the Chidambaram temple in Tamil Nadu, state control, domination. The same issue was there in Uttarakhand, but before the polls happened, the government itself withdrew the control, and it did have an electoral impact. Is the government thinking about on this line? Do you have a view on this, or would you want to steer clear? Because religious institutions, when the BJP says it's Hindu hate, the Hindu religious institutions be the only ones that tend to get managed by the state across the country.
Well, I haven't studied the subject in great detail. I'm sure the experts will be looking at it. But I do believe Prime Minister Modi's government never discriminates and believes in equal laws for all people of India and the various faiths that people of India are following. Ideally, the rules, systems and laws should be the same for everyone.
He's great respect for Tamil, but HRNC, Hindu Religious Endowment Board, is only for Hindu institutions and it's practiced in Tamil Nadu. So that's why I asked you
Well,
the
it's
question.
unfortunate that we have a government in Tamil Nadu which is openly anti-Hindu, which has never looked after the interests of Hindus. I feel sad that they pretend to be Hindus. They all are religious in their homes. We see some of the marriages that they celebrate. They are pretty much with all the traditions of Hinduism. But somehow the persecution of Hindus in Tamil Nadu is truly a matter of concern. We are concerned that such a wonderful state, such wonderful people, and the Tamil people have had a very, very huge role to play in India's cultural history, our rich heritage and traditions, are being misled by the DMK government. And I do hope Mr. Stalin and his government will stop these efforts to attack the Hindu religion at every possible occasion.
The BJP's target is 300 plus. Final question for Lok Sabha 2024. The target is 300 plus. The opposition is wanting to challenge one candidate per seat in at least 400 seats vis-a-vis the BJP. You think this opposition unity will be...
Anand, I can assure you the BJP never aims small. We are already 300 plus, so our aim will be significantly higher than that. We are working hard across the country, and the love and adulation that the people of India have for Prime Minister Modi lends us to believe that we will do well, we'll get the blessings and the support of large sections of the people across the country, and we'll do far better than last time and increase our tally so that once again a strong, stable, decisive government, an honest government, a committed government can give direction to the people of India and to the India growth story and give a better future to 140 crore Indians. We welcome the opposition to do as many alliances as they like, but reflect on it. I mean, is the DMK going to add even a single vote outside their own state? Is the Samajwadi Party, Akhilesh Yadav, going to get one vote outside the state of Uttar Pradesh? He should be worried about the losing vote share he has in Uttar Pradesh.
But if the DMK and Congress combined ranks in Tamil Nadu,
they're already there in
if the
alliance.
RJD, and they contest only one candidate per seat.
But they're already in alliance, so what is the difference? This so-called larger alliance is not adding votes to any of their candidates. And RJD,
in fact, will be in Bengal.
Kumar, JDU,
Bengal,
is a
Bihar.
failed alliance. I can assure you that Bihar is a state that's going to give a complete sweep to the BJP. We are aiming for every one of the 40 seats in Bihar. Particularly, the people of Bihar are so disenchanted with the Lalu Yadav, Nitish Kumar combined. They look at Nitish Kumarji as a person who cannot be trusted, somebody who stabbed the back after having won the election, or piggybacking on the BJP, just like Mr. Uddhav Thackeray won his few MLAs on the back of the Modi wave and the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. I think the people of India will never forgive such leaders who do injustice to the vote that they have received. That is an unethical alliance to begin with. It's a corrupt alliance. It's an alliance whose very leader himself is in prison for his misdeeds. It's an alliance which has only brought lawlessness and a complete breakdown of governance in the state of Bihar. Similarly, West Bengal, I don't think Congress and CPM or the left parties have any relevance left. It's a direct contest between Trinamool and BJP. But given the misgovernance, the high level of corruption, the deteriorating law and order situation, and the poverty that you see all across West Bengal, the way the people of West Bengal, who had such a rich cultural history, are today left impoverished and living in misery, they certainly are looking for change. They certainly deserve a change. This time around, I think they'll get a fitting reply from the people of West Bengal. The BJP tally in West Bengal will only increase in the coming Lok Sabha.
Congress is talking of revivals after Karnataka. They're confident about Chhattisgarh. They think they will snatch Madhya Pradesh and perhaps retain Rajasthan. So does that change equations for you?
शेख चिल्ली के सपने तो किसको भी देखने का अधिकार है, उसके ऊपर कोई रोक नहीं.
Piyush ji, thank you so much.
Thank
you
you.
for your time.
Lovely
Always a pleasure
talking to
speaking
you.
with you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, this is Rastax and Zaka Jacob. A day after the Maha coup in Maharashtra by Ajit Pawar, now it's an open fight for the reins of the NCP. Today, Sharad Pawar removed Praful Patel and Sunil Tatkare from primary membership of the NCP for indulging in anti-party activities. The Ajit Pawar faction held a press conference saying they are the real NCP. One thing is clear.